You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. So the next article I wanted to read is called "Without Public Funerals, Westboro Baptist Church is Struggling to Spread Hate." This is by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website. So let's give the article a read and see what it says. A friend asked me this question over the weekend: what's Westboro Baptist Church been up to lately? These people are monsters. These people are monsters. I've done a video about them before. It got demonetized and suppressed. Honestly, rightfully so. It's a hard subject to cover. They are bad people. Genuinely, in the bottom of their heart, they're bad people. Vicious people. Let me just try to give a basic explanation of who this group is. They're kind of a splinter of Baptist Church. It's named after the city that they're from, I believe. They got famous for basically picketing and protesting funerals, and they have really, really horrific signs that say really terrible stuff. Like, they are famous for protesting the funerals of soldiers, like soldiers who died in war or whatever. They will go to these funerals and say God killed him on purpose and God laughs. A soldier dies and God laughs, that kind of thing. Real awful stuff. Super homophobic people. Not good. I can't even explain all of the bad stuff they've done because it's just not fit for YouTube, period. But I do have a video on it if you're curious on my main channel. Just Google Westboro Baptist Church on my channel. Anyway, let's give this story a read and see what it says. The Christian group known for its God hates signs has been relatively silent. Their Twitter account hasn't posted or responded to anything since late January, mostly because they shifted to Gab, a Twitter alternative targeting a far-right user base. By the way, there are only, I think, like 70 members. At one point, there were 77, and I think a few of them died off. The leader died, and it was taken over by, like, their kid or something. Some of the leader's children have escaped. Megan Phelps Roper, I believe. The leader was a lawyer before he died, and he got into all kinds of really messed up stuff. Anyway, let's continue reading. They shifted to Gab, where they have less exposure to the world, but even there, they don't post that often. And with public gatherings virtually non-existent because of the pandemic, they really don't have anywhere to protest. Outside of a brief showing at the Kansas Capitol this weekend, their schedule has necessarily been light. I've never heard of Gab before. I'm going to have to take a look at that. It sounds like it's, full of stuff to debunk. How's that for irony? The people known for picketing outside funerals can't spread hate because there aren't public funerals right now. They've embraced COVID-19 too, calling it God's perfect work. It's also not a surprise. They see all suffering as a consequence of sin. A look at their public schedule is frankly hilarious because nearly every event they plan to attend has been postponed. Look at this. American Mental Health Counselors Association Annual Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. Wow. God sent the coronavirus in fury. Deuteronomy 28:58-61. American Mental Health Counselors Association Annual Conference in Las Vegas, postponed. Elton John at Sprint Center in Kansas City, Montana? Or is that Missouri? That's Missouri. Elton John at Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri. I should have known by the fact that it said Kansas City that it was Missouri, not Montana. What am I thinking? Maui churches in Maui, Hawaii. Wow, they're getting all the way to Hawaii. So that they're protesting that too. Fascinating. Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 104th Indy 500 in Indianapolis, Indiana. Republican National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Maroon 5 at Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri. Again, I got it right that time. Even at the bottom, where the August events are listed, it's clear they just haven't updated the site. The DNC will likely be all virtual. The RNC won't be in that location anymore after Donald Trump's recent temper tantrum, and the Maroon 5 concert has been postponed. The idea of traveling to different cities and appearing outside large public gatherings no longer seems viable. Considering how the church's notoriety springs from people seeing them spread their bigotry, it looks like the pandemic has stopped them dead in their tracks. Maybe God is sending them a sign. That's funny. Thing about Westboro Baptist Church, though, is they're probably still holding services and still keeping people fired up inside the pews. And it truly doesn't get more hateful than this. Somebody asked me, what's the biggest and most harmful cult out there? And I was saying that it's like a virus in many ways. Cults are like viruses. They operate like viruses do. If the cult is moderate and not terribly extreme, the public doesn't react viscerally to it, and they can bring more people in. That's how it works with religion more generally. If the group doesn't ban you from talking to critics, if they don't push strict control methods on you, they're more likely to bring people in. The more tight control they hold on people, the more extreme beliefs they have, the more money it costs to be a member, the fewer members you're going to have, but the more zealous they're going to be, the more extreme they're going to be. Scientology, it's been estimated they have like 40,000 members, give or take. We don't have actual numbers, so based on the information I have and the people that I've talked to, they estimate it's about 40,000 members, as opposed to Jehovah's Witnesses' 8.5 million members. Because Scientology costs a lot of money to be a part of. It's very extreme, takes up your entire life. Where Jehovah's Witnesses, it doesn't really cost any money to be a member necessarily. It doesn't have to cost money to be a member. They make most of their money through real estate schemes, not so much membership donations. Even though their belief system is fairly extreme, that one difference leads to Jehovah's Witnesses being more widely available to more people. It's kind of like economics, too, in addition to being like viruses. Juxtapose what I just described with cults with viruses and how they operate. If you have a virus that kills, say, 90% of the people that it infects, it's not going to be able to spread as easily because it's killing all the people that it infects. It isn't giving these people a chance to continue spreading it and propagating it, so it's not going to spread as far. That's why Ebola, generally speaking, isn't really the kind of thing you have to worry about turning into a pandemic. It stays on the epidemic level because it kills like 90% of the people that are infected with it. Whereas the coronavirus, for example, there's a big, long incubation period where people are still infectious for like 14 days before they actually show symptoms. And it only kills like between 1 and, 4 or 5%, depending on where you are and what kind of healthcare you're dealing with. It's the same thing with cults and viruses and economics. In economics, with elastic demands, when you're selling something that people don't necessarily need, kind of things that they just would like to have, like I sell on my Etsy store, people don't need my stands that I sell, my retro game stands. I don't set the price, ultimately. The consumer sets the price. So if I set the price to like $20 for a tiny little stand this big, people just aren't going to buy it. They're just not going to buy it because they don't need it that much. It's not worth that much to them. If I lower the price to, say, $10 for a little tiny stand, it'll be more likely that people will buy it from me. If I set it to 99 cents, not only are people who need it going to buy it, but people may see it and think to themselves, you know what? I mean, it's 99 cents. Why not? It's making it available to a wider audience by lowering the cost. It's the same with cults and religions. It's making itself available to a wider audience by lowering the social cost that you have to pay to be a part of it. So with Jehovah's Witnesses, the social cost, or even the monetary cost, is lower than with Scientologists, so they can bring more people in. That's kind of how it works. Well, with the Westboro Baptist Church, it's like 70 people total as members of this cult. The social cost to being a part of this group is really, really high. That's why they can't bring any other members in. But they're vicious, and the people that are in are pretty much in it for life. I mean, you hear the odd story of somebody escaping the Westboro Baptist Church, like Megan Phelps Roper, for example, one of the daughters of the founder. But it's rare that somebody finally manages to escape, because they get their claws in you, and they stay in you. So anyway, I hope I didn't get too far into the weeds with those analogies, but I thought it was pretty interesting.